Yes, hello, welcome back to Dean's Allotment. Just going to introduce you to the new plot and what I've done so far on here. As I spoke about in previous episodes, I've turned around and managed to get this trim down now, covered up the best I could. As you can see, there was a lot of rubbish left over from the previous owner that unfortunately I've got to be left with to get rid of that. Moving round, as you can see, it's covered over mostly at the moment, but I have started to dig this particular plot. As mentioned before, we'll be using this plot mainly for a lot of the bulk veg, potatoes, beans, possibly some broad beans next year. I've covered it over. I've managed to dig pretty much, as you can see getting in, that I've managed to dig pretty much all the way down to here. Covered this particular stretch over. We'll gradually start working on the rest of this particular allotment. I'm going to probably dig the whole of this plot and, as I said, use it as a bulk production of veg for next year. I'll move round to the older allotment that I've had for over a year and show you what I've been doing on there. Right, back on the older allotment. I'll walk down the beds as I go along. Starting off on the first bed, pretty much as it was the last video I did. This one I will be covering over. Won't be putting anything else in there this year. We'll just cover it over and use it for the spring sowings. Still got a little bit of beetroot left. Maybe had to get 1 and 2 bits off that. Not much, I wouldn't have thought. So again, moving on to the next bed. This one is covered over for the winter. This had green manure dug into this. Just will leave that in to rot down. Again, to be used in the spring. Haven't quite worked out exactly what I'm going to put in the beds yet. Trying to rotate to keep down any pests from coming for growing the same things in the same beds. This particular bed is dug over. I will use this bed for wintering onions that I've actually started off in nodules at home. This gives them a little bit more of a chance stopping the birds likely to pull them out of the ground. Gives them possibly 2 to 3 inches of growth. Put them in straight out of the nodules. The birds tend to less likely to pull them out once there's 2 to 3 inches of growth from the bulb. Moving down to this one, again this one had green manure in that. I've covered that over, same thing as the other one. I'm going to let that rot down, start sowing into the spring in there. Moving on to the next bed, this one's still got green manure in this, just waiting for the flower heads to start to appear. I will chop that down on the previous ones. Won't let the flower heads appear. If the flower heads appear and die off, all that's going to do is produce more seed. We'll end up with lots more plants growing when I don't particularly want that. So I will cut that down, dig that in, cover that over. Usually takes about 6 weeks to rot down before you can actually start to plant back into that, but I will leave that again until the spring. Moving on to another vacant plot. This plot had potatoes in that. I'm going to turn around and put some more of the wintering onions in. I've got white and red and some garlic, so plan to use the 2 beds to put the wintering onions in. Moving on to the bed that I'm just starting to work on now. This bed previous had sweet corn in. What I'm doing with this is I'm giving it a covering of chicken manure pellets. The pellets are pretty good, give a bit of nutrition into the soil. Leave that in for about a week to 2 weeks, and then I will start putting some wintering broad beans in. Had a pretty good crop off them last year. The good thing about wintering broad beans is by the time they're ready to pick, you tend to get less aphid problems. The problems tend to come more in the middle of the summer months, so you tend to tend to harvest them before that actually arrives. So moving on to the next one here. Again, this is, everything's out of there. Again, I've just got to dig that one particular over. As you can see, there's a cane here with odd few seed heads on there that I will pick them. That's just left over of the Chinese beets that were given to me. Very nice actually. Moving around to the fruit bed again. The fruit bed is, the rhubarb's coming to the end of its stage now, where that will go dormant and will start to arrive again in the spring. The strawberries, all the strawberries started off with 6, managed to pot on a few from the runners, and as you can see, the runners have turned around and now started to seed themselves. Basically managed to get root growth, and we'll probably have a whole bed full of strawberries here. The strawberries were very nice actually. I didn't actually grow them from seed, I actually bought them plants and they were really, really nice. Just coming towards the end of the bed now. Again, these boxes, these had carrots in. Again, there's pretty much none left of them now. I've pretty much had all of them. We'll probably use these again for carrots next year. I will dig out probably a quarter to half of the old compost, throw that on the beds and put some new compost in it. Compost tends to give about 6 weeks of decent nutrients before you probably have to add some sort of fertilizer into there just to turn around and keep the plants healthy. Again, in here, the parsnips, haven't pulled any of them yet. Not many in there. Haven't quite sure how big they've grown, but we'll pull them. I'm sure we'll get a couple of roast dinners out of them. And the compost bins, gradually starting to fill them up. Again, we'll probably put something over the top of that to let it all rot down, and we'll use that on the beds as I go along. Okay, well, thank you very much for watching this episode, and I will catch up with you soon. Thanks very much. Bye.